Welcome to the What, When and Why podcast. I'm here interviewing adults doing lots of different jobs to understand how their school and university choices have and have not impacted their careers. There are so many decisions we need to make about our education. Hopefully, the discussions give you some helpful thoughts, and most importantly, they should reassure you that there's no reason to stress over every single little decision. On today's podcast, I'm delighted to be joined by Brandon Miller, who's speaking to us from London. One point before we start, Brandon mentions grad school or graduate school. This is an American term which refers to continuing to study at university after doing a normal degree. Hi Brandon, please tell us a bit about who you are and the job you do.
Sure. I'm Brandon. I'm a partner at a consulting firm called the Boston Consulting Group here in London. So I work in insurance. So I help insurance companies to make better decisions and generally to hope that they're a bit less crap than they normally are.
Please tell us what jobs you've done and a summary of your career.
I'm afraid this is the only thing I've ever done. So I've been at BCG for I think 12 or 13 years, and it was the first thing that I did after my PhD. So I was very old because I did a very long PhD, rather poorly, but ended up staying in one place because I was so surprised that I got a job that I didn't want to risk the danger of not being able to get one again.
And what about what you studied?
So it was actually quite odd, frankly. So I studied classics as an undergraduate, and then I went to Oxford to do a PhD in Old Chinese. So I studied classical Chinese, and my PhD was about the development of the book in early China. So absolutely nothing to do with insurance whatsoever.
And to do your job, what skills are required?
So I think that I say that there was nothing that was relevant or important about what I was doing, but the skills that are required are really just to think closely and carefully and in a fairly traditional kind of liberal arts way through a problem. So I think a lot of what's most important about what we do in general is just to be able clearly to identify and conceptualize and describe the problem. And that's very much something that you do in writing an essay or doing extended periods of research, which is what I was doing in my PhD. But I also just enjoy insurance. I think it actually, having developed quite a capacity to be studying something that is not traditionally exciting, insurance is a pretty good place to go, because it's also not traditionally exciting, but when you get into it, very much so. So I think the other thing that it's good to have, in addition to the, just a sort of a general cleverness, frankly, is some understanding about the topic itself. So it's difficult to be a 20-something or a 30-something and tell people who work in a company that you have the right answer to how they should work when you've never done their job. So it helps if you have a bit of understanding, at least an interest in the topic.
Mm-hmm. And how has what you studied helped?
Well, I think, like I said, in no way directly, not at all. I think that I think that's great. I think that I often think how sad it would be if someone, spent years at university doing a degree in, I don't know, I'll pick something that I hope that none of you are interested in doing. Like a law degree, and then having to go be a lawyer after that. What a nightmare. So if you study something, like the development of the book in early China, where that there's no way that you'll be able to earn a good living doing that any longer than someone is paying you to do it, then you can have a bit of interest in it. You can follow something that you're passionate about. And I think that that probably is the area that is most connected. I think that for me, insurance became something that I was actually rather passionate about, maybe in the sort of like whoever's the patron saint of lost causes, sort of pray to St. Anthony and hope that someone cares about it.
Mm-hmm. What was your favourite subject at school?
I suppose English. I suppose it was either English or classics. So I did Greek. And again, I think I just like I like being cleverer than other people. I must have been awful. You would have hated me. Certainly at school. But then I think at university, my favorite subject was actually, I did some really kind of pretty low literary theory. It's French nonsense. But regardless of what sort of Derridian postmodernism it might have been, it got you thinking in a really interesting way. And just to be able to push a frame of thought and to apply the things that you see around it to something and to make sense out of it using a sort of a given frame, I think probably is it's a useful thing, and it's a useful thing for coming to new areas and to learning about new areas, because you have a standard approach and you can apply it to whatever content you're looking at.
Mm-hmm. Later in school, when you had to start dropping subjects, are there any subjects you wish you had done or you regret not doing?
So sometimes I wish that I'd been a theoretical physicist, another sort of equally sort of topic, do something about string theory or quantum mechanics, so yeah, I think that I have a sufficiently passing knowledge of basic science to know when one is being hoodwinked about something, but I think it would have been quite cool to go further into theoretical maths or theoretical physics, something very different to kind of the super humanities kind of subjects that I did.
Mm-hmm. And as you think about your career and your life, what advice would you give to the 15-year-old you?
Probably I'd say to me specifically, or to
yourself.
Well, I'd be tempted to say don't go to graduate school. I think that there was an argument for only going to graduate school if you really had a passion for it. And I think I did it in some ways because I kind of just sort of, it was the path of least resistance to keep on being in school. But I stayed until I was 30, which makes me very old now and never really able to have done, I in some ways, I could have gone to a bank, an investment bank in 2001 and been incredibly boring. So I'd either be dead with a heart attack or retired. But in either case, I wouldn't be working right now.
That's cool. Okay. Thank you for your answers to the question.
Sure. Pleasure. Thank you.
So, those are some interesting thoughts from Brandon Miller, including, importantly, to make choices around what you find interesting, not just thinking about what's necessary for a job. Thanks for listening to this episode of the What, When and Why podcast. The next one's coming soon. Keep track at whatwhenandwhy.podbean.com.